Yep, I'm so fucking dead. I'm losing my apartment once again because of my father and everything I own. It's not the first time my father has screwed me. Now, I have been in this situation from my own hand before. It's not like I haven't gotten this situation my own hand before. But I always had a very simple solution. Treat my seizures, treat the lack of mobility, and make some money. But see, I've been sober the whole time in New Hampshire, which means I have to suck up the injuries. So I've been doing that. I've been going to the doctor and doing the right thing. That is why I'm getting thrown out of my house. I have a job, but I'm not allowed to go to work until we have my neurological disorder under control and diagnosed. Now, what do I mean by neurological disorder, you might be asking? Well, at 7 years old, something horrible happened to me, and I have flashbacks to it, nightmares of it, my whole life. I was screaming at it at the doctors, bringing it up at my mother and father. My mother tried to cover it up. She even moved me across the world and kept me moving after I told her about it. As soon as my mother and father heard about it, my father did nothing and my mother took evasive action. But here's what happened. I was in a foster care program, and there was these older parents that sent me back because they said they were too old to raise a child. Then they took me back, and this was going on, stuff like this. One night, I was told we were going to do a movie night, and I could pick out a movie at some type of blockbuster store. So we got in the car, and we went, and I picked out Batman Mr. Freeze, which in the store, my mother goes, "Are you sure you want that one?" And I said, "Yes, yes, I want Batman, I want Batman." She's like, "Oh, okay." So you could tell my mother wasn't into Batman Mr. Freeze, but she's gonna watch it with me anyways because she's a good mom. At least that's what I thought because I just met her. She just met me, I just met her. This is a new relationship. But my mother does try to pretend that I have illnesses that she's known about because she has some biological connection with me that's overbounds any other boundary of understanding. So, anyways, my mother rents Batman Mr. Freeze. We get in the car. We get back home in Westford, Massachusetts, like a farmhouse. We go inside. My father goes towards the TV room, but my mother calls me down towards the bathroom hallway kind of area. She tells me I need to be given medication, which my mother was always trying to double and add more and more. Constantly, I would hear her go, "He needs more medication. I want him on more medication." If I wanted drugs, my mother set me up good for life to be a drug dealer. Um, yeah, oh yeah, I can get any pill I want. Percocet, Xanax, Ritalin, all the name brands. But I don't want fucking any of them. I just want to get better. But I'm not allowed to do that. My father will not allow it. How dare I want to get better and live like a human being, like the rest of these human beings around me? How dare I want to live like the human being that drives me home that's disabled? He drives, he's disabled, and he has Social Security, and he's age 31. How dare I want to work for a living but not get injured in the process? How dare I not want to have my head smashed into the cement? How dare I ask my father to go into the doctor's office with me, go in the Social Security, go into the places where it's needed, take responsibility with me for his wife's actions, and let people know what happened. I was lied to, you were lied to. It hurts to know your wife lied to you, I know. It hurts me every day of my life. But it has to be handled. You can't just run and hide from this like a little kid, Dad. And that's what my father does. Every time I bring up any problem with his second wife, he just says, "Oh no, you're suicidal. No, you try to burn down my house. No, you make up stories. No, it's a fantasy. No, 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 no. I'm going on vacation. You can't make me. You can't make me. I'm going this way." And that's all he does. He'll say something hurtful that's made up, or bring up some story that mother made up, Or he'll try to bring up something that was twisted against me that's part of what I'm talking about, that he doesn't understand or he wasn't there for. He'll try to ignore the teachers trying to help, telling me sorry, to ignore all the family members coming up to him. He'll ignore my mother admitting that she thought it was okay to give extra medication to a child that he's not prescribed, and the whole family's horrified. He'll ignore when my mother was going to stomp on me like I was a piece of an ant that she was putting out on the carpet after yelling at me that I'm less than a dog to get off the couch because she wants a dog on the couch, and now she's going to stomp on me because I'm not flat enough. Shit like that was going on constantly. So he's going to ignore all the very clear stuff that happened right in front of him. And instead, he's going to sink his teeth into the fantasies in me. That's what my father wants. He does not want me getting better. He wants to make sure his wife's name is not tarnished and I die. How dare that kid say that my wife did something to him? Oh, he's a liar. Yeah, man, we gotta get him out of here. Kill him already. Get him fucking... Yeah, I hope he dies in the woods. I hope he's gone. I don't want this fucking kid in my life anymore. How dare he? Meanwhile, I'm having seizures on the side of the road, can't get off the ground. I'm literally on the side of 108 bleeding, waiting for an ambulance, and I'm that way because I took your wife's abuse when that could have been your grandson. If it wasn't for me, there's a very good chance this type of shit could have happened to his grandson. There would have been problems. My father could have even ended up with a divorce, breaking up. How sad would that be to see your wife's just you and your wife screaming at each other? Because if it wasn't for me, she would still need an outlet for her crazy mental health disorders that aren't being treated. And having a little orphan child and playing doctor with him, poisoning, making up stories about him, and blaming him for your own mistakes, that did the trick. I was the lightning rod. Absolutely. Now, this is what happened after the movies. Oh God, this flashback sucks. I don't really want to be thinking about this right now, but once again, 25 years, this is what happened 25 years ago. We got home, my mother said, come in the hallway, it's time to administer medication. She had me put out my hand, I took the medication. Believe it or not, she had me take it dry most of the time because I said I could do it and she didn't care. Now, other nurses were telling my mother that I shouldn't be taking meds dry because it could burn my esophagus. My mother said, no, I know best, and let me take them dry until the day I burned my esophagus. Then my mother said I could still take it dry, but I refused. I wanted a glass of water after I burned my esophagus with some pills. But anyway, so I took my meds dry, took my meds. We went to go sit down. First we had to go do something. I think they had to get the movie all set. Took a minute to do that. They had to pour themselves a drink, maybe a soda, whatever the hell probably I don't know what was going on. I was too young to know the difference from soda and alcohol. But my father looked pretty relaxed that night. So whatever is going on, I don't know, with the alcohol and drink situation. But they're getting stuff ready. I'm waiting. Finally, the movie's getting put in. We're getting the movie started. The first 15 of all the commercials run through. You got all the previews done. Great, the movie's starting, and then all of a sudden it starts going blurry. I can't make out what's going on, and then the room goes blurry. And then everything goes blurry, and then I turn to my mother as it's blurry, and I start trying to ask for help. I go, help, but I'm going, help, I can't talk. So first I'm saying I can't see, but now I'm saying I can't talk either. And then I go to turn back, because my mother has now got the phone, and she's going to go get help. So I turn back to my hands and my vision is going completely out. Look at my father, try to look at the floor, but all of it's a complete blur. I have trouble even remembering the floor because it's so blurry. And then my vision goes almost completely out as I try to crawl because I can't feel my hands. I try to stand up before I crawl. I try to stand up and walk over to my father, but my legs won't work. I cannot get my legs to work. I can't talk. I can't feel my body. My mouth and body feels numb. I feel super tired, sick, horrible. It just not a good feeling. So I start army crawling to my father, and I get to a pile of newspapers. I can feel it. I remember waking up on these pile of newspapers and then them bringing me to bed. So I remember these pile of newspapers. I also remember the crunch, hearing it, feeling it. Um, Actually, I couldn't feel it, so I don't remember feeling it, but I remember hearing the crunch and seeing it when I woke up. So I know that there was a pile of newspapers that I ended up on, right? That's where I stopped. I remember trying to turn to my father, but I can't really see him. It's just a big blur now. I'm kind of blind. And I'm trying to scream for help and help, but all I can get out is, oh, that's it. Just a little, just some air. That's all I can get out. Nothing is working. My legs aren't. My breathing starts slowing down. My breathing starts slowing down. I'm scared. I'm scared. My breathing is slowing down. I'm scared. My mother comes back in the room because I have full ability to hear. Nothing happened to my hearing for some reason. I can always hear perfectly, even after whenever my nervous system is fried, I can still hear. I don't know why that is, but that's the one thing that doesn't seem to go out. I mean, I get wax buildup in my left ear, but I mean, no. So, anyways, oh shit, I gotta go. Oh man, I hate having to go through this. So I'm on the pile of newspapers. My breathing is slowing down. My mother comes in the room. She says, "They don't know what they're talking about," and then hangs up the phone as I go unconscious. Now, later, my mother talked about that in the car with me and Dad and said that they were trying to bring me to the emergency room. They wanted me to go to emergency room. And the people on the phone said that those medications could never cause that type of illness. And that was the two things my mother said they didn't know what they were talking about. The people on the phone said bring me into the emergency room, and the medications I was given shouldn't cause that type of reaction. Those were the two things my mother was told to do, and my mother said, "You don't know what they're talking about," and hung up. But at the time, all I heard was, "They don't know what they're talking about," and a beep, clunk, clunk. So at this time, my father is on the chair. I pass out right as that happens. I wake up on the pile of newspapers, and I feel totally different, but I'm not having an overdose anymore, but my body feels different. So they put me to bed, and for the next couple months, I'd experiment to see why the fuck my body's different. And for the next actually, I think it was only a couple weeks, maybe even a week after that. Yeah, not even long after the overdose. Teachers were bringing me in the hallway saying they're going to call home because they seen a sudden change in me. I'm writing my name differently. I'm moving my hand differently. I'm talking differently. I'm walking differently. I'm moving differently. They said it's like my whole body's a different person, different kid, and they want to know why. They asked, is there a medication change? Is there something going on? We're going to call home. Then physical therapy and speech therapy started. Also, I brought this up at the doctor's office, and then my mother said it was just an allergy attack. Then when the doctor said, what medications was Zach administered, my mother said, I don't remember. It's not important. And then the doctor continued to ask questions, which my mother interrupted him and changed the conversation by asking a different question. And that was the end of that until I brought it up again. And then eventually my mother just said, I don't remember. And that ended every time I brought it up. Now, there's also a made-up suicide my mother made up. That was the sucking on the skin. Because my mother tried to convince me, because I played with matches, I'm trying to burn her house down. And then she went around brainwashing me, convincing me that's what I'm doing. And that's really fucked up shit. She tried to say I burned her house down, even though there was no burnt house, there was no burnt closet, not even a burnt carpet. Not a single thing in that whole room was burnt. The only thing burnt was the head of the match when I couldn't even get lit. And I wasn't trying to burn down the house. I said I didn't know what I was doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. That was my answer 40 times or 10 times in a row before my mother try to give me a different answer. At that point, my mother tells me, you could have burnt the house down. So you must be trying to burn the house down. You are trying to burn the house down. Say you're trying to burn the house down. And she used to try to do this, and if I didn't go along with her, she would get progressively more mad. And at 5 years old, with a new mother that you barely know, you just do what they tell you. So I did what I was told, to the letter. That's it. I did what I was told. Then my mother tried to make it look like I'm trying to burn her house down, and I'm confused. Because I got therapists telling me I'm burning her house down, but then I'm not. And they're like, wait a minute, you weren't trying to do it on purpose? No. But your mother says you were, and didn't you say you were to your mother? Well, yes. Then you were, because why would you say you did if you didn't? Because and at 5 years old, you can't follow that logic. You're now brain fucked. Your mother has brain fucked you. You were playing with matches, and now your mother is taking out her invisible dick and sticking it in your brain and fucking you. Hey, fuck your head, fuck your head, fuck your head, is what my mother would do. Take that invisible dick, take her little 5-year-old son, and fuck that brain up. Fuck that brain up. When all he's doing is he's taking a book of matches and trying to see the glowy thingy. That's it. Just like my nephew took my lighter and wanted to see the glowy thing at school and show it to his friends. He wanted to show his friends up. So he's trying to show off, and he likes the glowy thingies. But at the age of 5 to 7 years old, if I tried to convince him of this, and he came from an orphanage and never had any parents, it wouldn't be that hard for me to fuck with his head and get him to think that he was trying to burn the house down, because he could have burned the house down. But see, this is the problem. When you got all these different therapists listening to my mother's lead, and my mother is the one informing them on what to try to help me with, but really, the one who needs help is my mother, then I'm going to be convinced at the age of 5 that I am all my mother says I am. When my mother takes my swimming medal away, she says I have attachment disorder, so I must. Because I believed I had attachment disorder when my mother told me that right away, even though I didn't understand what the doctors were agreeing with her. My mother brought my swimming medal into the doctor's office, the one I won in the orphanage. The orphanage called St. Anne's brought me to the YMCA with the other kids, and whatever kid treaded water the longest at the end got a little brass medal. The rest got little toys like lollipops and stuff, little parachute men. They wrote my initials on it, what was ZG. They said to make sure no other kids stole it, so it went in my Legos, along with the action figures I had. So, I went to foster care and I met my adopted mother. I'm playing with my Legos in my room, like any little good kid. I pull the medal out, I see it, I go, oh yeah, that's right, I remember winning this. So then I go, oh, I bet my new mother would love this. She just adopted me. Wouldn't she love to know about this medal? So I walk up to my mother and I look up to her and I say, look at the medal I won in the orphanage. Look at the medal I won. At this point, my mother gets furiously mad. She rips the medal out of my hand and says, how dare you steal a medal? And I say, what? And she goes, yes. You took this from the African-American kid because he's athletic. Yes, he's an athletic kid and you're not. So that can't be your medal. Where did you get it? I got it from the orphanage. They don't give swimming medals out in the orphanage. And what's the ZG on the back? Are you writing your old name on stuff to get back at me? No, I'm not out to get you, Mom. Yes, you are. You're out to get me, too. Yes, you're a liar. You're a thief, you make up fantasies, and you're writing your name on these things. How dare you? I'm keeping this medal. No, it's mine. Stop crying. It's not your medal. Stop crying. That would be my mother. And then she holds on to the medal as I cry night after night, cry and cry and cry, and wonder why the only thing I ever accomplished. I came in first at the swim class. I tried for the spelling bee and I came in 5th. But on the swimming class, I came in first. I won a medal. But now this mother wants it. Why does she want to do this to me, I wonder? Well, she brings me into the doctor's office, and she repeats this fantasy, and the doctor looks at me, and I tell the doctor, I won that in the orphanage. It was mine. I won in the orphanage. She's lying. She keeps lying about me. At this point, the doctor looks back at her and she goes, no, 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 he does this. He makes up really good fantasies. He makes up fantasies. I know this is his medal because you see the ZG on the back? He wrote that on there to hurt me. I know he did it. I know he wrote that name on the back, so there's no way he won this anywhere else. He needs to be medicated, Doc. You need to give him medicine right away. He has attachment disorder. And then the other doctors start talking to me about attachment disorder. I wonder why I would be convinced I have attachment disorder right after my mother tries to convince doctors I have attachment disorder with a medal and tells doctors that I'm out to get her. Well, because if a child is out to get their adopted mother, well, that must mean they have attachment disorder. Because wouldn't you love your adopted mother? Of course I do. That's why I showed her the medal. I showed her the medal out of love. The reason why I went up to my mother and showed my mother my accomplishments is because I loved her. And then she stomped on me, put her boot on my throat, kicked me around, and then had me drugged and made up stories about me and had me cry. And these are the type of illnesses you see on my medical record today. If you look up my medical record today, all you'll see is a giant snowball that my mother started off with a bunch of small snowballs throwing downhill. And now, they're a giant snowball about to hit me again and again and again. My mother threw 1,000 snowballs down a hill, and a lot of them just keep on tracking snow. And my father wants to keep it that way. My father wants to keep me hurt so he doesn't have to deal with this shit. He doesn't want to have to deal with his wife being a bad person. Fuck that shit, he says. No, I'd rather have my fucking... No, my son is an asshole. Yeah, my son is a fucking shithead. No, 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 he tried to burn my house down. That's the truth, yeah. No, 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 my wife would have never tried to do anything like that. Oh, my son? He has a different problem. Oh, my daughter? What she heard? That's a different problem. Oh, your grandson? All the things he said? Well, that's something else too. Entirely. No, they're all shitheads. No. Your wife had a problem. She hurt me at a young age. I couldn't do anything about it, and I was vulnerable. I was vulnerable, easily convinced, and she was telling me there was Santa Clauses all over the place. But yet, they will try to use these hurtful things that I have flashbacks about to try to use as disqualifications of why they shouldn't help me. Well, we're not going to help you because you tried to burn our house down. Yeah, when? See, this is why I say maybe I should become. My mother tried to make me out to be a serial killer. She tried to make, and all these things track because when she did these things in Westford, then when I got older to be a teenager, I didn't give a fuck anymore because she's hurt me so much and I've already been punished 20 times for something I haven't even tried to do yet. And that's why eventually, like the drinking, my mother blames me for drinking, tells me I'm hungover when I'm just sick on pills. So what do? I try drinking. Of course. I've already been punished 10 times for drinking I haven't done yet. I might as well really drink and know what it's about. Know why they're punishing me. So, there was a lot of that shit by teenage years that was all confusing me too. So this is pretty fucked up shit. But what's even worse is when my mother started popping my medication, and I'm trying to tell my father she needs help, all they're doing is punishing me every time. Like, for instance, my mother started popping my active Vicodin prescriptions. My mother goes, it's only one time, and then my father turns it around and punishes me for seeing it. Then my mother continues taking my prescription. So you got stuff like that going on. And then a year after that, so she's drinking and she's taking my prescriptions. She's taking a lot of other prescriptions that she's trying to get. She's messing around with pills like she shouldn't be. Her teenage son is messing around with pills now too. He shouldn't be. And now she goes through liver failure and she passes away. So when you got evidence like that and you got so many people involved and you got so many problems, this is what I'm talking about. The fact that you blame me for burning your house is fucked up shit, Dad. Where is this house? You need to show me the house I burned down, and I will pay you for a new house. I will work myself into the fucking ground. I will work every day, and I will bleed, and I don't care what. I'll change jobs every fucking week if I have to. But you have to show me a receipt that says I burned a house down that you got insurance money for or that you lost. Tell me what property you lost. Because I lost my internal organs. I've been screaming in pain since childhood. So I'm talking about a loss of something really big. Now, I played with matches as a kid. Yeah, I'm willing to say I did that. Absolutely did. Yeah, I played with a book of matches to see what the glowy things would do. But all this trying to burn your house down talk, that was all Patricia. She came up with that narrative. I said I didn't know what the fuck was going on. You guys came up with that narrative and instilled it into me. Patricia made the narrative, pushed it, made me repeat it, then you said it must be true, then doctor said it must be true, and shit went downhill. But parents normally don't do that. See, I responded to Javier in the correct way when he took my lighter to school. His mother handled it in the correct way. My mother, your wife, did not. That's the difference. Lots of kids play with matches in the closet, Dad. That happens. 5-year-olds, 10-year-olds, 8-year-olds, a lot of them will get caught at some time playing with a lighter or matches. But you know what's not normal? The mother asking why you did it, the kid saying, I don't know, and then the mother continuously asking, is it because you're trying to burn the house down? Is it because you're trying to burn the house down? Yes, you could have burned the house down, so you're trying to burn the house down. That making those statements to a child is gonna fuck up his head, Dad. Parents don't do that shit. You know why they don't do that shit? Because then the kid just goes, especially if he's an orphan that was taught to just do as he's told. If you tell me to agree with you, I agreed with you all the way to about age 12. Anytime you said I did something, I agreed with you until I was about age 12. That was it. If I didn't understand something and you said this is the way it is, then that's the way it was. But guess what? Children don't understand stuff, Dad. 5-year-olds don't have college degrees. You cannot expect me at the age of 5 to have the same intelligence as Tim. And that's what you were expecting of me. You cannot expect me to live in an orphanage most of my life, be dropped on your doorstep, and then have intelligence levels up to a college student to handle your wife's bullshit. No. You guys were the parents, not me. It wasn't up to me to be an adult in these situations, Dad. It's not up to me to stop the little child from getting hurt. That's not my responsibility. But yet, I'm the one that's paying the price because there was no adults during my childhood. And if you want to argue with there was adults in my childhood, and if you want to argue that I was just some suicidal, fire burning, burn your house down, okay. But you're not allowed. I want to see proof. And psychology telling us, my mother telling a psychiatrist a bunch of shit, and then him writing it down and calling it real, that doesn't make it real, Dad. Psychiatry, there's no way to prove it or disprove it. It's in its other realm. It doesn't put you through a machine and then you see an x-ray and say, oh, there's the broken bone. It doesn't work like that. With child psychology, they take the information from the mother and father, and that's how they base a picture of the child's psychology. So whatever my mother was telling the doctor is the image of me that the doctors have. So take all the statements that you and Patricia made about me, make yourself a picture of me, and then figure out that's what the doctors look at every single time I walk in. Every single time I need help with a real disability, I have to deal with this fucking picture that you and Mom drew at age 7. Just picture it. Just picture the person that you were describing. A serial killer, a house burner, bipolar. My mother was trying to convince me and the doctor and you that I was schizophrenic, even though nobody thought that. Nobody thought I was schizophrenic. That was just my mother wanting me to be drugged some more on Zyprexa. So you have all these false statements going back until I met you. There was no problem. As soon as I meet your wife, all of a sudden I'm getting fucked up, Dad. Things are fucked up. As soon as I meet your wife, you're fine. Dad, did I ever have a problem? Did I seem like I was hateful towards you? Did I ever say, no, everybody goes, why do you love Dad and hate Mom? Why do you love Dad and hate Mom? I don't hate Mom. I try to give her love all the time. She just stomps on it and destroys me. That's all, Dad. I have no attachment disorder. At the age of 16, my mother would be smacking me around and I would be hugging her in parking lots. I'd be asking her to do stuff with me. I would be watching CSI, having talks with her. But see, I had to be the adult. When you went out of the house and we had mom and kid nights, I was the only adult in the house. My mother would get drunk, CSI would go on, and then she would ask me stupid, crazy questions. And then I would have to be the adult being like, Mom, we don't hate you. We don't hate you. No, nobody's out to get you. We don't hate you. You just got to stop with some of the crazy talk and crazy things. I'm not crazy. You're crazy. No, watch the show. I mean, it's just so childish, Dad. This has to be handled. You cannot just let somebody else be in pain and suffer. Now, yes, you have done stuff for me before. But those are tossing me a bone, and a lot of them have to do with this cause. If we just fix the problem, then we won't have any more problems, Dad. But if we don't fix the problem, then there's more seizures, more injuries, more drugs, more whatever. And I can't work, so there's zero finances. So don't forget how many problems are made just by you and this one not wanting to do this. Because if I'm able to work, drive, think about how many less problems there'll be for me to call you about. If I'm not ever using drugs again, isn't that great? Isn't that better than me shaking on the side of the road and everybody telling me the only way I'm ever going to get out of the woods is by doing drugs and going to a job while injured? I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think doing drugs for a year just to make some money is a good idea, Dad. But there's not many other ways around this, and I'm not going to do that shit. I'm not doing no drugs. But that's the problem, Dad. What do you want me to do? Live in the woods and dig a hole? What's your plan to deal with your wife's shit? Because I've been dealing with it, so tell me, what's your plan? I have zero tools available with $0, no car because of my disability, so you tell me. With the tools available, how do I clean up your wife's mess? If you don't want to clean up your wife's mess, fuck it. At least tell me how I can. Because I'm tired of going in circles cleaning up your wife's bullshit, Dad. So I really need my father to clean up this fucking mess of his. You cannot allow your wife to make up stories, drug a child, slip him prescriptions that he's not prescribed, especially on Halloween. That Halloween curse, it's so bad that we used to joke around about it. Oh, Zach got sick 3 years in a row. Every Halloween, he gets a mysterious illness. It's like a curse. Oh, I hope it doesn't happen again this year. Fuck, that's fucked up shit. Every 3 Halloweens in a row, my mother calls me for meds, and then an hour later, I get sick and can't go out trick-or-treating at all. Don't you? That's fucked up shit. I shouldn't be getting... That's a pattern. One Halloween, my mother gives me meds. I get sick. Next year, next Halloween, and each time my mother's not getting her way. Each time I'm allowed to go out, but my mother says no, I'm not, but my father and everybody else says yes, I am. Then my mother administers medication, I get sick, and it's no, I'm not. I'm not allowed because I'm sick. That's fucked up. There's nothing normal about that. There's nothing normal about getting sick 3 Halloweens in a row, right on Halloween, right when your mother isn't getting her way, right after your mother administers medication. That is a little too many coincidences, and you know what they say. There's no such thing as a coincidence. And yeah, there isn't. The Halloween curse isn't a curse or a coincidence. It's just my mother. All these curses that I keep calling curses are just my mother doing shit to me. That's it. Now that I'm an adult and I understand it, I don't have to blame ghosts and fucking curses. It's very simple. If you get the flu, or you start vomiting, or you turn pale, or your white blood count drops, right after your mother administers medication, right after your mother wasn't getting her way, and now all of a sudden your mother gets her way because you're sick, and then that happens the following year and the following year, that might need to be looked into. But no, my father says it's fine. He can just live in the woods like an animal, or he can drug himself and work, or he can work and just die and end up in a wheelchair, or he can end up on the side of the road in a ditch, or fuck all his property. All that stuff he worked towards, fuck it. Let it go in a dumpster. Who cares about Zach's property? Nobody cares about Zach's property. You know, we're talking about how he burns down our houses and stuff, but how about Zach's property? We keep on taking it from him, and we keep on fucking with him. We fucked with his health good. We took his internal organs. We took his ability to work. We took his ability to collect Social Security. And I bet my father, on top of all this, has tried to make it harder for me to collect Social Security. I would bet him and Alice have called Social Security being, we don't want him using it on our Social, only if we can drain him. Only if we can drain him. If we can drain his Social Security and we can get out of trouble, then we'll work with him. Because, you know what, my father still hasn't kept his end of the bargain. He got in trouble in Massachusetts. He was going to go to court. He was going to have to go to court. There was no way out of it. He got caught right in front of a witness. The program he lied to. I was supposed to be paying a year's worth of rent. And he lied to the program. He lied to me. And he lied to the Massachusetts state worker. He kept money that wasn't his. It was Highfield's. Highfields was entitled to $600 a month, and I was entitled to the rest. But my father decided that that wasn't a good idea. Instead, giving me free rent, lie, manipulate, have me file for food stamps fraudulently, all this stuff, who cares? But when trouble came his way, and he was going to have to pay it all back, and they said it straight to my father's face. He can try to lie his way out of this one. But my worker said he made out a report of exactly what happened. Not only that, you can't fool me. I know everybody hates taking responsibility. I hate taking responsibility for stealing. I stole my aunt's meds, and I stole some gold from that same closet. Oh, and I stole my mother's engagement ring after she passed away. Yes, I did. After my father stole my inheritance and I got a phone call from a lawyer telling me to talk to my father about my inheritance because he's doing something dirty with it. I talked to my father. He lied. He goes, I don't know anything about it. I don't know anything about your mother. I don't know anything about it. Don't know anything about it. When he obviously did, because the lawyer just talked to him about it. His lawyer just talked to my father about it. And then he called me to talk to me about it. And then my father lied to me. After my father lied to me, I decided I would just go and take the engagement ring and send him a message. That's fucked up for me to do. That was fucked up. I should have never fucking done that shit. But see, my father also stealing shit. He stole my girlfriend's rings. Yes, he did. He went right into my bedroom, stole my girlfriend's ring, and threw it in a dumpster. On top of this, he stole my swimming medal away from me. On top of this, he damaged my internal organs. On top of this, he stole my Social Security, and I bailed him out. And what was the deal? He looked me straight in the eye, shook my hand, and made a man's deal. A man of his word deal. Let's see if he's a man of his word. The deal was very simple. I make sure that Dad doesn't go to court for stealing money from Social Security and the program. And I don't sign any paperwork, and I don't testify as a witness that my father did this, and I don't get any of my money. Now, the state told me that if I sign the paperwork, I will get all that money back and I will continue receiving my Social Security. So I will continue getting my Social Security and I'll get the money my father took if I just sign on the dotted line. And they wrote this down and they reported this. So they told me also I would have more difficulty getting Social Security if I backed my father. I went to my father and I backed him. But I said, this is the deal. You got to do everything in your power to keep my Social Security going. Seeing as I'm going across against the state when they want you to take responsibility for your actions, and I am getting you out of trouble here, they're going to take it out on me. So I'm going to need you to make sure that I collect my Social Security, because this could end very badly, me supporting you, Dad, in this endeavor. And I'm going to get thrown out of my program too, I'm thinking. So the deal is he has to do everything in his power to keep my Social Security going and act like a father. And I don't sign the paper and make sure he never has to go to court or pay that back to me. And I'm also in trouble with Massachusetts if I do that. And my father takes my hand, shakes it, looks me in the eye, and makes the deal. Then it's almost time for me to get thrown out because I can't live there for free. I was on Social Security and they lied. So it's time for me to move out very soon. So my father comes up with this plan. Instead of me getting thrown out and finding out how bad things really are, like I don't know. Of course, I'm smart enough to know. I read the rules and guidelines. The rules are people on Social Security pay $600 a month. People not on Social Security pay what they can. That's the difference. Okay. Like an air conditioner fees. That's what people not on Social Security pay. Things like that. Did my father keep his end of the bargain? Nope. First chance he got, he bailed out. Bailed out first chance he got with Social Security. He didn't even, I don't even think he lasted a year. I don't even think, first chance he got mad, bailed right out. If I did that to my father every time I got mad, he would have already had to pay multiple times. I mean, come on, you think I wasn't mad when I found out? I mean, I just found out. My father stole from me, manipulated me. I've been on Social Security. I've been wearing rags and being called the Raggedy Kid for about 5 years at this point. Everybody's made fun of me for not having clothing. And I just found out my father's collecting Social Security only because all the kids in this program tell me I'm disabled and I should apply for Social Security. And I just started filling out paperwork to apply for Social Security. And now my father's telling me he's collecting it behind the program's back. And then my worker is shocked to hell and says that's illegal and a problem. You think I wasn't pissed? Of course I was, but I still backed my father. I still gave him love, respect, and I still got him out of trouble. But you know what? All he wants to do is hear me be a shithead and then get me out of trouble. Oh, I'm on drugs. Oh, here, we'll help you now. But as soon as it comes to him, as soon as it has something to do with him making a mistake, he will run, and push his shit onto me. Fucking, that's a big deal. You know how hard it is to deal with a neurological disorder and get it diagnosed in America as you're poor to begin with? But on top of that, now my father and mother have misled doctors, so all the good information I could be using with doctors is all messed up thanks to my mother. On top of this, I should be on Social Security. I have had thousands of people after they first meet me, you should be on Social Security. You should be on. I start a job and they're like, you should be on Social Security. You should be. I know I should be. Why don't you talk to my father about that? Because I backed the wrong horse. Apparently, me getting my father out of trouble meant as much as dropping him a penny, as much as cleaning his floor for him. Apparently, going against the state, getting my father out of court, and not signing legal paperwork that I was bound to sign, that I was supposed to be signing, that means nothing to my father. That's just Zach losing out on purpose. Yeah, that doesn't matter. We don't need to help him. And then, his lawyer calling me and him lying through his teeth right at me. He doesn't lie. He didn't lie about knowing nothing. He really know nothing about my mother's will. He didn't go to no will hearing. He didn't talk to no lawyer. Oh, wait, yes, you did. The lawyer who called me was your lawyer, and he called me after talking to you. So it sure seems like you would have known something about what your lawyer was talking about, unless there was something you didn't want me to know. So then you would just say, I don't know anything, what would be a lie. So that way I would have no rebuttal, and I wouldn't be able to ask you about my inheritance that I don't really care about too much anyways. What I care about is my future. I want to know where I'm going to live and what job I'm going to work at. I want to know what are we going to do about my fucking Social Security that I just backed you on. Those are my three thoughts at that time. when that person called about my mother passing away. I thought, what's going to happen with my fucking Social Security now? My father barely can hold his word when she's alive. Now that she's dead, I doubt he's actually going to hold his word about helping me with it. I mean, he never could hold his word on any of the things he promised. He would make a deal with me and then back out. First time it was his chance. I mean, I've had at least 5 different instances of that. I mean, some of them are stupid, like Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Like, he would go, okay, if you mow all the lawn for a week, if you mow the lawn and if you do this, this, and this, then I will play Yu-Gi-Oh and learn how to play. And deal. We shake hands. I do it. We come back. Nope, I'm not learning how to play Yu-Gi-Oh. You believed me? You fucking fool. I'm not learning how to play a stupid card game. Yeah, you made a stupid deal. Yeah, it's your fault. You made a stupid deal. Yeah, I'm not learning. I don't care if you did what I said. I don't care if I'm breaking the deal. Same thing. I can't believe that I didn't catch that the first time. See, if I learned my lesson about the Yu-Gi-Oh cards, I could have saved myself a lot of pain and suffering from the last 10 years, and I could have just signed the state's paperwork. When the state comes with you and says, we need you to sign, this is just everything that was just said in this room, then you sign. If your father has to go to court, well, it's not your fault. You didn't make him do those things. But see, here's the other problem too. My father liked to push his problems onto me. So when that happened, when my father got in trouble, and he was about to have to go to court, if I had just signed the paperwork, and my father did go to court, and he had to pay it back to the state, and then the state had to pay me, if that did happen, my father would blame me directly. He wouldn't be blaming the state or himself. He would be blaming me directly for signing the piece of paper. That's always how my father was. My mother was too. If I just did what I was supposed to, and somehow they had to take responsibility for their actions, oh boy, I better. And that's one thing I was afraid of. I mean, now they just put me in a situation. I'm in a program. I'm supposed to be paying rent. My father's been keeping the money. The state didn't know about it. They want to bring him into court so that my father has to pay back the state, and then the state wants to pay me back, and then I have to pay back the program. But instead, I back my father, and I refuse to sign, hoping that my father will continue doing the right things. But still waiting. I should have known from 16 too. I had a learner's permit for 2 years. Asked him at least 7 times to teach me how to drive. Each time, I'm too busy, later, too busy, later, too busy. The last time was, I'm too busy! A real mean one, so I stopped asking after he gave me a mean one. So, at that point, my learner's permit expires, but I'm having problems moving my body, and I'm questioning if it's safe for me to drive, because it's not even safe for me to ride a bike sometimes, so, like, what am I going to do driving? And it's getting worse every year, but I don't know. So, I want to drive, so I'm going to get another learner's permit, even though I had one for 2 years and never even used it. I already passed the test, got it, and we never even went to the next step. They now want me to get another learner's permit just so they can waste my time again. All they're going to do is tell me they can't show me how to drive again, and driving school is fucking no good because I don't even know if I'm safe. Last thing I want to do is crash a driver's ed course my first ride. I'd rather be with my family to make sure we're safe because they're the ones who need to monitor my behavior. They say they don't see these things. Well, that's a good way to see it. What good is it if I have a seizure behind the wheel with an instructor? Or a spasm. What happens if I have a spasm? They're going to ask, hey, does your son have muscle spasms that could cause him to hit the gas? And you'll say, no, he's just crazy. And then all of a sudden, everybody thinks I crashed the car on purpose. Oh, because you weren't there. So why don't we make sure that my mother and father are there for my driving to make sure I'm all right to drive? That's where I was. But it doesn't matter because my father is literally just going, you're too stupid to pass this course. I'm like, Dad, I already passed it and you did nothing. How about you show me the first time around? Because now I'm questioning if I'm wasting my time, if it's safe to be doing this. Am I even going to be able to use it? The first 2 years, nobody even gave a fuck that I had the damn thing. Though the learner's permit only did me good to buy cigarettes. I'm not even kidding. That's the only thing it did in 2 years. I begged and begged people to show me how to drive. But the other problem is I only had weekends. So I only had 8 days a month to try to get to driving. And most of those, they had me mowing, cleaning, or they would not let me do it. And no, you can't get out of your chores just to try to drive. No, we're not showing you how to drive. No. So no matter how many times a milestone would come up, and I begged and pleaded for my family to help me with this milestone, my father and mother wouldn't help me. And they weren't reaching out to like my brother or sister saying, hey, can you show Zach? No. And I'm worried. I'm worried about driving because I've now bumped in the furniture and I'm getting yelled at in the living room by my mother and father because I'm falling down and bumping in the furniture randomly. I'm shaking and doing random stuff. I'm falling down at fireworks at age 12. Random stuff is happening during football games where my arm spasms. I'm very worried about driving. But every time I bring this up with my mother, the doctors, oh, it's probably just a side effect from the medication. But yet, I've been bringing this up since the overdose that there's something wrong with my movements. Teachers were bringing this up. Oh, but see, I figured when I was 16, 17, 18, 19 that my medical records from Westford made it to Texas. And then they added to it. And then those medical records from Texas were brought to Massachusetts. I know my mother used New Mexico and Maine to bury everything. There was nothing for those years in education or doctors. But I figured Westford and Texas, those medical records would have been sent over back to Massachusetts afterwards. Found out later that's not how things work. You got to request those records and the parents have to bring them. Or you sign a release and the doctor goes searching for those records from the doctor's office, but they usually need a name, type it in the computer. Plus, during the 1999 and the 2000s, there was a big changeover with computers. A lot of it was on paper. The other half of it was computers, and a lot of the computers were getting changed over. And a lot of things were lost as well. So we got a bunch of shit going on, and nobody's fucking caring. But I don't know how that works at age 16. I figure the doctors have all the information they need, so I've talked about the overdose a bunch of times all the way to age 14. But yet nobody's even asking me about it. And my mother just called it an allergy attack, but I've never had a doctor tell me what allergy it's to or nothing. Nobody's ever looked into it, yet my body's been acting differently ever since. And I've been telling doctors and people that, and my mother just keeps on making up weird new illnesses whenever I tell her anything's wrong. When I jump in a pool and cut the back of my foot and need stitches, I'm suicidal. When I suck on my skin, I'm suicidal. When I play with matches, I'm trying to burn the house down. When I bump in the furniture and fall down, I'm suicidal. When I show my mother a swimming medal, I have attachment disorder. I'm a thief and I'm a liar. When I do normal lying like any other kid, I'm a pathological liar and I'm lying all the time. If I don't steal anything but I'm found something that looks like somebody else's, I'm blamed as a thief. So at a certain point, I do steal one thing. After being blamed as a thief 6 times and never stealing anything, I decide to try to steal something. Well, then I get caught, and now I've really stolen something, so now I've stolen one time. So now I'm permanently, everything is blamed on me as a thief. And then I just get all confused because I'm being blamed as a thief when not, and when I am, and when I'm not, and when I am. But it all started with these swimming medal bullshit. It all started with this Patricia. No, the program never called me a thief. No orphanage, no. I was surrounded by kids. I never stole a damn thing. Corey never thought I was a thief living with me. None of the other foster kids ever thought I was a thief. None of the other foster parents thought I was a thief. But yet, I get to this adopted mother, and right away, my mother's snatching things out of my hand that I call my swimming medals and making up stories about it, and constantly telling me that I'm in more trouble when I try to tell her how I got them. The more I tell the truth, the more my mother calls me a liar. The more I tell the truth, the more my mother calls me a liar. So what do? You have to lie and tell your mother what she wants to hear. So at the age of 10, I start learning that lesson that my mother starts teaching me. I have to tell my mother what she wants to hear. If I tell my mother the truth, she'll smack me around and call me a liar. She'll also drug me. If I tell the truth, things will go bad for me. If I tell the truth, things go really bad for me. So I had to just tell my mother what she wants to hear. I mean, see, the schools didn't know that either. When I turned about, I don't know, 14, and when I was going to school in Worcester, the school didn't know this rule with my mother. You can't tell the truth about me doing good. If you tell my mother I'm doing good and you give her the truth about how, she'll twist it up into some nonsense. And she did this with the Worcester school. They sent home a note. My mother tried to read. Now, first, let me give background information on this note. I'll pause it and break this into another video.